and the Beast is directed by Mamoru Hosoda and is about a young boy called Kyuta who at his lowest point ends up going from the human real world and ends up getting stuck in this alternate fantastical world which is inhabited entirely by beasts. When I was planning this anime series for 2019, I knew right from the word go that The Boy and the Beast was one that I had to talk about, because I'd heard so many people hyping it up, saying it was one of the best animes of recent years, and I just had to give it a watch because it really did look intriguing, and from what I was hearing, it sounded like it was really, really good. And I've got to say, this movie did not disappoint. I really, really enjoyed The Boy and the Beast. Maybe not as much as some people make it out to be, because some people think it's absolutely great. And even though I do really like this film, there were a few minor things holding it back from being absolutely amazing. But that being said, I still really, really enjoyed this film. First of all, the best aspect of this movie by far are the characters, especially Kyuta and Kumatetsu. I've probably butchered those names, but you know who I mean. The two main characters, the boy and the beast. Those two characters definitely drive the movie forward and deliver a lot of the movie's humour as well, which is another thing. This movie is a lot funnier than I was expecting it to be. A lot of animes that I've seen in the past, when they try to do humour, kind of overdo it, and it kind of doesn't stick its landing, and is a little bit awkward. But here, the humour is just right, doesn't outstay its welcome, and it is nicely implemented in the movie. Their relationship, though, is really what makes the film better than it should. You really want them to connect on a much more personal level, but the different struggles that occur feel very relatable and believable, especially when one is a beast, so I give the movie props for that, making their relationship and their friendship a lot relatable and believable, even though one of them isn't a real human being. And that's another thing. The beast world is really fascinating, from the design of the creatures to the law and the rules they set up in that world. Just everything about that beast culture and that world they've set up is just really fascinating to me. You were probably expecting me to say this at some point, but yes, the animation is really gorgeous, especially in the final act of the movie, where they start to blend quite heavily 3D animation with 2D drawn animation. There is a lot of that throughout this film, and I would say here it's implemented very well because it gives everything a lot more depth and realism. But in the third act, they really utilize it in a very creative way, I will say. And yeah, the animation is just really nice to look at. However, as entertaining as this movie is, the one aspect that unfortunately kind of dragged the movie down for me was when something happens halfway through the film and the boy suddenly ends up going back to the human world. I won't specifically say how or why or what happens, but once that starts to kick in, the movie really slows down and kind of drags a lot once this side plot is introduced. Yeah, it is still kind of interesting, but every time they cut back to it, it's kind of a case of like, I kind of wish we were back in the Beast world, because the Beast world is a lot more interesting. Again, I'm not saying that the stuff that happens in the human world is boring, because it's not. I'm just saying it, whenever they cut back to it, it really slows the movie down, in my opinion. Apart from that, though, The Boy and the Beast is a real delight of a film, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It probably would be higher if they had just stuck the landing with the human world aspects a bit more, but this movie is what it is, and for what it is really good. So guys, that was my review for The Boy and the Beast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, then give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Bye.